Have you ever tried to explain what you meant to someone only to have them insist they already understand your deeper motivation? Or maybe you've watched a friend stay in a rough relationship because they're convinced they can see the other person's potential and who that person will likely become with your help. Or let's be honest, maybe you're that person. You spot a pattern, hit an intuitive conclusion, and feel so certain about it that you don't even bother checking to see if you're actually right. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Dranitsaris, psychotherapist, leadership coach, MBTI certified practitioner, and co creator of the Striving Styles personality system. Welcome to our series on the shadow side of the intuitive function. Today we're talking about introverted intuition and its self-protective side, the rationalizer persona. Introverted intuition is the primary way of gathering information for INTJs and INFJs. It's their dominant function. In the Striving Styles framework, we call them the visionary striving style, and their core need is to be perceptive. They see what things can be, they spot patterns, anticipate what's coming, and build a meaningful vision for relationships and life. INTJs and INFJs gather data internally. The function is introverted, and so they go inside themselves to gather information. They synthesize it into a clear picture and vision for what can happen and who and what people may themselves and people may become. In fact, they often know things long before they can articulate how they know it. When they're operating from their authentic self, this gives them an incredible gift. They see deep patterns, anticipate the future, and they map out long-term strategies. This is how it's a little bit different for both of the personality types. INTJ's auxiliary function is extroverted thinking. This supports the building of their visions using insights on systems, strategy, and getting things done efficiently. INFJs, on the other hand, their auxiliary function is extroverted feeling, so they make decisions differently. They bring their insights to helping people become who they see is possible for them, focusing their energy on people, emotional dynamics, and helping others reach their full potential. So, where does this beautiful energy of theirs go into self protection? Well, we all have two psychological systems with different agendas. Our self actualizing system, which is used to develop our authentic self, and our self protective system, which is used to develop an adaptive persona to manage anxiety, to self regulate, and keep us safe. When an INTJ or INFJ grow up in an environment that feels unpredictable, intrusive, or confusing, their brain learns to protect them by trying to predict and find meaning in everything. They watch closely, read between the lines, and try and anticipate what's coming so they're never caught off guard. Without realizing it, they form a belief or a hidden rule. I should know what and why things are happening so I don't get blindsided and people don't embarrass or shame me. Instead of building an emotional connection and learning to tolerate uncertainty, their mental energy goes into self regulation and the development of the rationalizer persona instead of their authentic self. The rationalizer manages their anxiety by jumping into interpretations. And so it becomes a closed system where things don't become engaged in the external world. It connects a few dots, it builds a story, assumes it knows other people's motives, feelings, or future behavior. And why don't they just ask you? because asking introduces the uncertainty and the possibility of being devalued or shamed. And so their story and what they conclude and the meaning that they provide to themselves for the situation is taken as truth. What also happens is that in relationships, the rationalizer falls in love with the potential someone has instead of the reality of who they are. They might stay with an emotionally distant partner because they can see the loving person behind the defenses. You hear them say things like, I know who they really are, you don't, or they didn't mean it. They have so much potential. Or they love me. They just don't know how to show it yet. Here, their insight becomes an excuse to ignore current facts. At work, they form quick conclusions about company strategy or a coworker's motives. When others don't see what seems so obvious to them, they get frustrated or they share a conclusion without explaining how they got there. From the inside, it feels like foresight and wisdom. But from the outside, other people feel like they're sitting in a petri dish being analyzed and treated like an idea rather than a human being. When safety depends on knowing what's next and knowing everything, not knowing feels dangerous. But the cost of this self-protective persona is emotional distance and a closed relationship system. When you interpret instead of asking, you shut down real dialogue. And when you focus only on future potential, you miss out on the engagement in the present moment. If you're an INTJ or an INFJ, your big developmental task is to take back that energy spent on needing certainty and bring it back to your authentic self. This means treating your intuitive flashes as perceptions to explore with others, not non-negotiable facts. Growth means getting comfortable with not knowing. It's realizing that being perceptive doesn't mean you always have to be right, and being uncertain doesn't mean that you're unsafe. When introverted intuition is freed from the self-protective system and freed from going into the adaptive persona, it's a superpower. It brings meaningful clarity, guides thoughtful change, and creates a vision grounded in real life. If you'd like to dive deeper, check out my full article, The Shadow Side of the Intuitive Function, at Dranitsaris.com. You can also reach out if you're interested in leadership coaching or MBTI and striving styles workshops for your team. And be sure to check out the other videos in this series, including our episode on extroverted intuition and the performer persona. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.